The Sahel, the lectured Basin, the Horn of Africa, Central Africa, and Cabo Delgado in northern Mozambique are terrorism hotspots on the African continent. According to the 2025 Global Terrorism Index, these regions continue to face a deadly mix of political instability, weak governance, and competition over natural resources. Experts say such factors give extremist groups space to grow.
If you also narrow it down to the weak security sector governance, especially where we see heavy-handedness by security forces, poor judicial elements, so they capitalize on that, use it as a basis for recruitment. We can also bring in the cybersecurity component, where because of the weak framework guiding the usage of the cyberspace, especially cyber accountability, the threat elements capitalize on that and use it as a basis for recruitment, unfortunately.
The Global Terrorism Index uses a 5-year weighted average of attacks, death, injuries, and kidnappings to rank how badly countries are affected. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Nigeria lead the list of the 10 African countries most affected by terrorism and extreme violence. Kabir Adamu says these countries appear again and again because the conditions that allow terrorism to survive haven't changed. Nigeria and Cameroon continue to battle Boko Haram and the Islamic State in West Africa province. In late 2025, the U.S. carried out airstrikes against ISIS and Boko Haram targets in Nigeria, showing global concern over the threat. In Somalia, Al-Shabaab remains active and still carries out deadly attacks despite years of military pressure. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, armed groups finance terror through gold, cobalt, and coltan, turning natural resources into engines of violence. In Mozambique, an Islamist insurgency in Cabo Delgado continues to disrupt gas projects and trade routes. Experts warn that such widespread violence is helping to feed much larger conflicts, such as the one in Sudan. Despite international appeals to stop the export of weapons into the country, it continues to happen.
Weapons are being ferried into Sudan. One of the things we tried to do is to monitor the prices of the weapons, guns, for instance, that were brought into Sudan. So at a point, an AK-47, for instance, will be selling for about $1,500, $1,800 US dollars. But it reached a point where it was going for as low as $100 in certain parts of the Sudan. And so, of course, that means these threat elements will have access to more weapons.
Adamu says these groups will also have access to expertise on the usage of these weapons and people exposed to war strategy who, for one reason to another, cannot be integrated back into society. Efforts to curtail extremism in Africa are yet to yield desired results. Joint military operations and foreign interventions have fallen short of expectations, and Adamu understands where the problem could be.
If you create a web of the linkages between various countries, you would now come to a conclusion where cooperation between them becomes extremely difficult. So Niger, for instance, will not cooperate with Nigeria at the moment because Nigeria is cooperating with France. Benin, as an example, will not cooperate with Niger because of its relationship, for instance, with France and Niger's relationship with Russia. So that web of interconnectivity between African countries and some of the superpowers is also affecting their own common relationship.
And the impact of these failures have been devastating. People have been killed and displaced, economies have been destroyed, and countries left trapped in cycles of poverty. The 2025 Global Terrorism Index shows Africa carries the heaviest burden of extremist violence, but it is also a reminder that terrorism thrives where opportunity fails and governance collapses. Ending it means fixing more than security. It means fixing the state itself. Enoxicoli, CGTN.